Hokage, Invincible Opening, Fury Konoha. Please like, share and subscribe. Episode 1. Betrayal at the beginning of the game, and the kaleidoscope appeared in anger. Now, at dusk. In front of Konoha village, Uchiha clan residence, and the patriarch's mansion. A boy who is not tall, about 11 or 12 years old, is standing here. There were two half-kneeling figures behind the young man. Looking at their clothes, they were both members of the Konoha police force. After pondering for a moment, the boy Uchiha Natsume asked coldly. How many are willing to go? A little over half, a total of 426 people. A person behind him answered quickly. More than half? It seems that the clansmen are really tired of Konoha. My lord, we must prepare for the evacuation. Natsume, okay, let's get started. Pay attention to my signal. When the time comes, organize everyone and evacuate quickly. There must be no lingering. Yes. Also, kidnap that little girl from Quan and her family. There was a trace of surprise in the eyes of the two people behind Natsume, but they still accepted the order without hesitation. Obey. Go. Natsume waved his hand, and the two people behind him quickly disappeared. Only he raised his head slightly. Glancing at Nuada Konoha village behind him, he sighed with emotion in a low voice. Before I know it, I have been in this world for 10 years. People's prejudices. No matter which world you are in, it is like a mountain that is difficult to climb. Konoha? Heh. Since you still can't tolerate the Uchiha clan, don't blame me for being cruel. Tonight, let me rewrite this history. Then, Natsume looked away. Taking a step forward, Diameter pushed open the door of the patriarch's mansion in front of him. Inside the mansion, the front yard was empty and there were no other people. But the figure that Natsume was going to meet had already stood on the steps of the main hall, as if waiting for him. Uchiha Fuyue, the current patriarch of the Uchiha clan and the captain of the Konoha police force. You came. Uchiha Fugaku opened his eyes, looking straight at Natsume with a little sharpness. It is worthy of the title of Evil Eye Fuyue. It seems that the patriarch already knows what I'm going to do? Uchiha Natsume smiled faintly, as expected. As the head of the Uchiha clan, the other party holds the Konoha guard in his hand, so he has a lot of power. It is not difficult to gain insight into the fact that he formed cliques and conspired to defect within the clan. However, not as Natsume expected. Although Fuyue knew what he was doing, but still did not stop himself to report himself. He even quietly concealed a lot of loopholes for himself. Otherwise, his defection plan may have been discovered by Konoha's senior management long ago. Your plan is too crude. I can't just sit and watch you bring most of the Uchiha clan to extinction. Fuyue stared at Natsume and said in a deep voice word by word. I have to stop you. The corner of Natsume's mouth twitched lightly, and said with a sneer. Could it be that if you don't do anything like you, the entire Uchiha clan can survive yet? At this moment, we can't match the whole Konoha, we need to wait for the opportunity. Fuyue retorted sharply, and there was a flash of struggle in his pupils. No one understands better than him the huge gap between the single clan and the entire Konoha. Such a reckless defection, even if it succeeds, it will only be turned into dust in Konoha's endless pursuit. Only by relying on ingenious planning and surprise, may we be able to win a glimmer of possibility. For this reason, he let Itachi join Umbu as a spy. Collect intelligence, wait for an opportunity, and then make administrative changes. If you can't match it now, will you be able to match it in the future? Or, your plan is just relying on Itachi in Umbu? Maybe you don't know yet? At this moment, your son, Uchiha Itachi, should have received the order from Root, and is on his way here. And his order is, slaughter the entire Uchiha clan to save the life of his brother Sasuke. Do you think this is fair? Is it worthwhile to exchange the lives of hundreds of people for one life? Should we be slaughtered for Itachi and his brother? Natsume roared loudly, questioning Fuyue nakedly. Hearing this, Fuyue's figure suddenly trembled. It seemed to be astonished by Itachi's decision, and also seemed to be angry that Konoha's senior management was so cold and did not hesitate to issue such harsh and crazy orders. There was a brief silence in the air. The virtuous Uchiha Makoto walked to Fuyue's side at some point, put her arms around her husband's shoulders, and shared the pressure for Fuyue. Calling D.D. If this is Itachi's decision, I choose to support him. Fuyu let out a long sigh, held his wife's hand, and said in a deep voice. No one knows Itachi's talent better than him. In his opinion, since Itachi made this decision, he must have chosen the optimal solution after an extremely painful struggle. Even for young Sasuke. As a father, he can only compromise and support Itachi. Master Patriarch, I didn't come to ask for your opinion. Whether you agree or not, you can't stop it. I am Natsume Uchiha, a member of the Uchiha clan. I am definitely not a lamb waiting to be slaughtered in any sheepfold. I will never be slaughtered by my neck. If you insist on stopping, then I have no choice but to get rid of you first. Natsume burst out. The chakra in the body surged out, and he shot out in an instant. On Fuyue's side, his brows were also furrowed, and he also shot suddenly. He wants to see it. How much better can this young nephew of himself be compared to Itachi? Previous. I, White Snake, transforming into a dragon, do not disturb. To be able to win over so many clansmen and conspire to defect. And blatantly shot at himself. Art fire escape ho fireball. Two huge fireballs, like tall buildings, shot out violently and collided together. Boom DD. Huge explosions shook the sky, countless flames sputtered out, and the dazzling flames even illuminated a small half of Konoha village. For a time, such a fierce battle. It even alarmed most of Konoha, causing countless Anbi ninjas, high-level Konoha, all to follow the sound in a hurry. At this moment, Fuyu, who was in the center of the fierce battle, was even more startled secretly and clicked his tongue. It never occurred to him. Natsume's nephew's great fireball technique is so powerful. Not even weaker than himself. You know, I am 40 years old. Whether it is ninjutsu, chakra, experience, etc., they are far more than half of the ninjas in Konoha village. And the young man in front of him, who is only in his early 10 years old, can use this lightning fireball technique to this point. How huge should his chakra content be? What is the level of understanding and application of ninjutsu? How evil is this? And this kid has been silent all the time, hiding his clumsiness till now. What a scheming. What a deep plot. While amazed, Fuyu showed no mercy. How to put it, he also experienced 2 ninja world wars, and the Uchiha patriarch who has survived to this day, his strength is naturally extraordinary. The art of fireball. Phoenix fire art. Impatience claw red. Extinguished the mighty fire. And many more. A large number of fire escape ninjutsu came at his fingertips, emerging one after another, and overwhelmingly bombarded Natsume. The countless brilliant flames almost covered half of Uchiha's resident. Just looking at it makes one's scalp tingle. On Natsume's side, there wasn't much bells and whistles at all. Yes, it's just the art of fireball, one after another. Big enough. Enough. Fast enough. One after another, huge fireballs collided with Fuyue's many fire escape ninjutsu one after another, colliding and annihilating them one by one. If it is in other places, other battlefields. A variety of ninjutsu with different effects may have miraculous effects. But here, under the head-on confrontation of 2 fire escape masters, Natsume has proved with facts that only one ninjutsu that is powerful enough can break 10,000 spells with one trick. Just like Uchiha's ancestor Madara. One extinguishing fire can cover countless water escapes. Fierce fighting continues. A large number of fire escape ninjutsu almost made half of the sky red. But in just 1 or 2 minutes, dozens of residences of the Uchiha clan were shrouded in endless fire. Same time. A group of Konoha Anbi ninjas and high-level personnel also rushed here one after another. And seeing the fireballs flying, inspiring the incomparable battlefield. These ninjas were all dumbfounded. Originally, they all thought that Konoha had been invaded, and now such a fierce battle took place. But look at the results. It turned out to be Fugaku, the chief patriarch of the Uchiha clan, fighting an immature Uchiha boy. This made everyone look stupid. How is this going? Uchiha's internal discussion? But there's no need to hit so hard, right? Or, the internal division of the Uchiha clan. But, even if it's a split, it won't be the turn of a teenager in his early teens to take the lead, right? Of course, these doubts are secondary. What really embarrasses the ninjas is that they don't know who to help. Help Fuyue quell the civil strife? So that Fuyu can continue to lead the Uchiha clan to plot a coup? Help that Uchiha kid beat Fuyue? Attack Konoha's police force captain for no reason? No matter which one you choose, it is very wrong. Moreover, the power of the fire escape battle between the two is ridiculously strong. Every blow is no less than an elite Jonin's full blow. Ordinary Umbu ninjas rushing forward are simply courting death. So much so that although more and more ninjas rushed to the scene of the fierce battle, but still all hesitated to move forward, not daring to join the war indiscriminately. I had to wait and watch from the outside and be on guard, or resist the sputtering sparks to prevent the fire from expanding. At the same time, more and more Konoha ninjas came to watch. Even many Umbu ninjas who were ordered to monitor the Uchiha clan were also attracted. At this point, Natsume also felt that the time was ripe. Although the power of his holy fireball art is indeed amazing, but in terms of chakra reserves, I may not be comparable to Fuyu, a standard movie-level powerhouse. Fighting a protracted war will only become more and more unfavorable to oneself. It must explode. Great Patriarch, show some strength. Go straight ahead. Don't let me down. Tonight, let Konoha feel the pain again. Kaleidoscopic Sharingan. Susanoo. Next moment. The yin and yang were reversed, and the surging pupil power roared out. An extreme blood-red light bloomed from Natsume's pupils. Immediately afterwards, a scarlet skeleton Suzuwa rose up from the ground, towering above the sky, threatening all directions. Episode 2. Susanoo, shocking the audience. That's Kaleidoscope Sharingan? This is it? The legendary power of God Susanoo? How come? I remember, is that Uchiha Natsume? Fuyue's nephew? Didn't he just turn 10 years old this year? He actually opened the Kaleidoscopic Sharingan? How is this possible? With the appearance of the tall Susanoo demon god. For a moment, all the ninjas around were shocked. No way, this power of gods and demons that only existed in historical scrolls was revealed to the world for the first time. The shock brought by it is indeed unparalleled. Although, that is only the first state of Susanoo, only a huge half-body skeleton. But the violent chakra breath, combined with the phantom of the skeleton more than 10 meters high, is still extremely deterrent. It made all the Umbu ninjas tremble with fear. What's more, such a mighty power that surpassed the elite Jonin appeared in a Uchiha boy who was only 10 years old. This is even more unbelievable, like a dream. Now, seeing Natsume open the Kaleidoscope Sharingan and display the power of God, Susanoo, Uchiha Fugaku was also shocked. When did you turn on the kaleidoscope? Even the third force is in control. This is your confidence? He never thought that someone could open the Kaleidoscope Sharingan at such a young age. I thought Itachi, who opened the kaleidoscope at the age of 13, was already good enough. Unexpectedly, this kid was even more outrageous. This kid really hides too deep. If only he knew earlier. Then his own coup will definitely have a greater chance of winning. It's a pity that this kid has such a powerful force. He didn't even think about a coup d'état, but decided to defect with more than half of the clan. How stupid. Natsume, stop. Even if you have the Kaleidoscope Sharingan and Susanoo, you will never succeed. We can. Oh. It's useless to talk too much, die for me. Natsume sneered, without a word of nonsense. Directly controlling Suzuwa, he attacked Fuyue. The huge skeleton fist whizzed forward, creating violent winds round after round. Just about to hit Fugaku. Or, when everyone thought that the Uchiha Patriarch was going to be hammered into meatloaf. A moment. A piece of dark chakra gushed out, quickly condensed into shape, and turned into an equally tall skeleton Susan, and took the punch abruptly. Boom D.D. A huge muffled sound exploded. A powerful shockwave swept across Fuyue, and swept away wildly. The mansion of the Patriarch was directly smashed into pieces, and a large deep dent was left on the ground. Such power is truly frightening. It was as if a heavy hammer had hit the hearts of the audience, making the few ninjas who wanted to make a move stop in their tracks. I was afraid that I would also be hammered into a meatloaf. Seeing this, Natsume's eyes also brightened. Although he had known for a long time that Fuyue, the Patriarch, had hidden a lot of strength. However, seeing him open the kaleidoscope and cast Susanoo at this moment, I couldn't help being shocked. Such a patriarch who is good at forbearance, such a strong man who has survived 2 ninja world wars, in the end, he volunteered to die at the hands of his son. It's really sad. And Konoha, who destroyed the Uchiha clan in this way, crippled his arms. It's rotten to the bone. It really was the right choice to choose to defect to Konoha and leave this devil's lair. Xiaomu sighed in his heart. But in the battle, he didn't hold back at all. Continued to control Susan and attack Fuyue's Black Susan. Soon, the 2 demon gods fought together again. At the same time. In the distance from the battlefield, in a dark alley. Witnessing the 2 powerful figures fighting fiercely in his mansion, the figure of the young man wearing a fox mask, he couldn't help but be dazed. Father, cousin Natsume, they? How come? Obviously, he has already made the decision to stain his hands with blood and bear all the sins. But, why did such an accident happen at this moment? And cousin Natsume, hasn't he always been the tail of the crane in Ninja Academy? Why do you have such terrifying power? He also turned on the kaleidoscope and fought fiercely with his father to this point? Countless questions rose from Itachi's mind. But he, who should have rushed out first to stop the fierce battle, did not make a move. Instead, he still hid in the darkness and continued to pay attention to the direction of the battle. After all, he, who is charged with the task of exterminating the clan, cannot be exposed at this moment. The fierce battle between the 2 Susanoo demon gods was too violent. Every collision, every confrontation. The aftermath that escaped was enough to cause the surrounding buildings to collapse instantly. It was only a few tens of seconds before and after. Most of the Uchiha resident, dozens of mansions were washed into pieces by the aftermath of the fierce battle. Many Uchiha clansmen who looked bewildered also fled from their homes. And looking at this ferocious battle, he looked dazed. No one knew why their respected patriarch suddenly had such a big fight with his nephew. The other side. With the anxiety of the battle. Swipe, swipe, D.D. Soon, one after another piercing sound resounded. Hyuga clan, Yum clan, Inazuka clan, Nara clan, Yamanaka clan, etc. Plus 3 generations of Hokage, Sarutobi Haruza. Root leader, Shimura Danzo. One after another, high-ranking Konohas and the patriarchs of the ninja clan arrived one after another. But at this moment, everyone was shocked by the fierce battle between the 2 tall Susanoo demon gods in front of them. It's amazing. What kind of ninjutsu is this? Who is Fuyu fighting fiercely? Is it an intruder? Be careful, the wind from the battle is too strong, don't be blown away. Several patriarchs with high status exclaimed in surprise. Even, witnessing this scene. Even the 3rd generation Sarutobi, who has always been calm, was amazed. This is the legendary Susanoo? Only the Uchiha who opened the Kaleidoscope Sharingan can master the power of God? I didn't expect it. Fuyu actually hides such strength. You know, looking at Uchiha's family history. There are only a handful of powerhouses who can open the kaleidoscope and display Susanoo. Unexpectedly, Fuyu also arrived quietly. No wonder, 2 years ago, he had the guts to stage a coup d'état. Just, what happened to that boy? When did the Uchiha clan hide such a monster? How can you fight Fuyu like this? Sarutobi clicked his tongue again. In all fairness, even if it is him, if he reacts hastily, he might not be the opponent of Susanoo. Report to the 3rd generation of adults, the boy is named Uchiha Natsume, the nephew of Captain Fugaku. He is still studying in the Ninjutsu Academy. An Umbu ninja rushed to report. A student of Ninja Academy? Not even a ninja? Nonsense. Looking at it like this, even the elite Jounin is not enough for him to punch him. Such disparity in information undoubtedly surprised everyone again. As a result, Sarutobi sighed. Danzo with a gloomy face. When looking at the figure of the young man who was fighting Fuyu fiercely, he became even more apprehensive. A 10-year-old Uchiha boy actually possessed a Kaleidoscope Sharingan and opened the power of God, Susanoo. This kid's talent is probably higher than Jisue and Itachi. Such a monster must be killed. If he continues to grow, he will definitely become the biggest obstacle for me to succeed Hokage. 3 generations of adults, let them continue to fight, sooner or later it will spread to other regions. Do we want it? Shikaze Inara, who is a think tank, asked rather worriedly. No rush. Order Umbu and Jonin first, and give priority to rescuing the innocent residents around. Then set up the isolation zone and get the enchantment class ready. Once the battlefield continues to expand, activate the enchantment to stop them. Before that, try not to get involved in the battle as much as possible, so as not to be affected. Sarutobi quickly ordered in a deep voice. With the previous experience of the Ninetales invasion, the village has also deliberately strengthened its response training in this area, and it is still relatively orderly at the moment. Fortunately, the residence of the Uchiha clan is far from the center of the village. Even though the battle was fierce at the moment, it didn't affect the core of the village too much, and it was still within the controllable range. Of course, the most important thing. The main reason is that Sarutobi doesn't know how to end this fierce battle. If you enter the arena rashly, let alone those Umbu ninjas, even he himself can't hold back the iron fists of the two Susanoo demon gods. Same time. As soon as Sarutobi was about to continue watching, Danzo beside him became anxious. Hastily shouted. Cannot wait. The Uchiha clan broke out. The internal strife spread to the village and endangered so many people. It can be seen that he has a cold temperament and doesn't think about the village at all. His rebellious heart is clearly revealed. And such ninjutsu must consume a lot of chakra. This is a great opportunity to defeat the two and win the entire Uchiha clan in one fell swoop. The situation is urgent. Do you still want to indulge the Uchiha clan? Sarutobi frowned. We know very little about Susanoo. If we act rashly, it will only increase casualties. It's just Susanoo. As long as we all rush forward and combine our strengths, we will definitely be able to kill these two traitors. Danzo took out kunai and called out, while making the appearance of taking the lead in attacking. While appealing to the surrounding people, they rushed forward. Take this opportunity to get rid of Fuyue and that terrifying Uchiha boy. But the next moment, Danzo, who pretended to attack, froze in place. Because, except for a few root ninjas, none of the rest of the crowd was ready to attack. Everyone was staring at him, as if they were looking at a fool. Obviously, where there are 3 generations. It's not his turn, the root leader, to order everyone. What's more, no one would rush forward in a foolish way and confront such a terrifying Susanoo. Not to mention, the weapon only relies on one kunai. For a moment, holding the kunai in his hand, Danzo, who was in a dilemma, was even more embarrassed, and his face turned pale with anger. But after hesitating again and again, he finally didn't dare to take a step forward and launch an attack. Episode 3. The second form, 3 moves to defeat the enemy. At this moment, the night is like ink, pitch black. In front of the Konoha police force building, the space fluctuated suddenly, and a figure wearing a yellow tiger-striped mask suddenly descended. Konoha police force? What a joke. This joke, let's end tonight. Obito laughed contemptuously, and his figure flashed. He rushed into the police force building in front of him. But the next moment, only then did he realize that there was no one in this brightly lit building. The dozens of elite Uchihas who were supposed to be here are all gone. How is this possible? Could it be that the coup of the Uchiha clan has already started? The elite clansmen here have already been dispatched? Impossible. Such an action must be impossible to hide from Konoha. Where did the people here go? Just when Obito was confused. Boom, boom, D.D. The sound of huge explosions and collisions came from afar. Obito's Kamui instantly launched, teleporting himself to the top of the building, looking in the direction of the sound of fierce battle. Next moment, witnessing 2 tall Susanoo demon gods rising from the Uchiha garrison, he couldn't help but be astonished. How come? That's Susanoo? Is it a ferret? No, it's not his breath. Could it be that there are 2 strong men who have opened the kaleidoscope hidden in the Uchiha clan? It's hidden so deep? It looks like one of them should be Fuyu. Humph. Is this useless patriarch finally willing to show his strength? Is this a civil unrest? Is he suppressing resistance? External obedience, hesitation. Internal strikes, spare no effort? Cut. Obito secretly let out a sneer. But he didn't choose to approach that side rashly. After all, at this moment, most of Konoha's powerhouses have gathered. If I approach rashly, it will be bad if it is exposed. Let's wait and see from afar. At the same time, around the battlefield, under Sarutobi's instruction, the other Konoha ninjas did not join the battle rashly. Instead, the residents were evacuated in an orderly manner while the surrounding area was blocked. Attempt to narrow the scope of the battlefield as much as possible. And the center of the battlefield at this moment. Natsume was distractedly watching the surroundings while controlling the fierce battle of Susan. Seeing Sarutobi, Danzo and others, all present. The time has finally come. He no longer held back and quickly exploded with all his strength. Pupil power and chakra came out like a torrent, urging the Kaleidoscope Sharingan, directly pushing Susanoo from the first form to the second form. In an instant, countless chakra materialized meridians and flesh grew wildly, wrapping the entire Susanoo skeleton in a coat-like form. In this state, Susan's attack power and defense power have been greatly improved. Even, you can use your own exclusive weapons and ninjutsu. Its power far surpasses Susan in the initial state and the first form. It's just that the chakra consumed in this state will also increase exponentially, and it will bring a great burden to the Kaleidoscope Sharingan. Difficult to last. Natsume, you have developed the power of God to such an extent. Looking at the figure of Susan who put on the feather robe, his aura soared a lot, and his might was even more frightening. Fuyu couldn't help but his eyes bulged, and he smacked his tongue and exclaimed. In just a few minutes. My nephew, who was once unknown, brought him and the whole Konoha a shock, too much. If not for 7 years ago, this kid would only be 2 or 3 years old. He even wondered if it was this kid who controlled Kyubi to attack Konoha at that time. However, time cannot help him marvel. Next moment. Natsume Susan shook his hand and pulled out a nearly 20-meter-long chakra sword. Pulled out a gorgeous saber flower in the air, carrying a shocking momentum. Suzuwa slashed at Fuyu suddenly. The extreme sense of danger exploded on Fuyu's scalp. Moment in the meantime, he also hastily activated the Kaleidoscope Sharingan, transforming towards the second form of Susan that he had not mastered, preparing to forcibly step into the second form. However, Natsume's knife. Too fast. Too fierce. Without waiting for the chakra flesh and blood on Fuyu Susan's body to wrap and take shape, he tore the flesh and blood with a single knife and split the skeleton. Second cut. The third knife. 3 times in a row, one knife is more ruthless than one knife. Rolling up boundless wind and waves, breaking through the clouds and rivers, incomparable. Click DD. Fuyu's Susan was cut through on the spot under the turbulent sword force, and all of them collapsed. And he himself flew upside down, spitting out blood. After smashing several houses in succession. It was only then that he collapsed into the ruins tens of meters away. Within 3 moves, defeat a proper shadow-level powerhouse. Such a shocking scene also caused all the ninjas around to click their tongues in horror and show fear. Such an overwhelming strength is really disturbing. Similarly, Danzo hiding beside Sarutobi. He looked at the figure of Susan holding a giant sword, and then at the tiny kunai in his hand. In the end, without leaving a trace, he quietly took back the kunai in his hand. Come to think of it, this guy will never have the absurd idea of stabbing Susan with kunai again. After defeating Fuyue in 3 moves. Natsume also felt quite strenuous, and most of the chakra in his body had been consumed, and the kaleidoscopic Sharingan, which was lacking in pupil power, also felt a burning pain. Even, it made Natsume unable to maintain the second form of Susanoo. It had to degenerate into the original state, leaving a 3-meter-high skeleton rib as a defense. However, Natsume knew better. Your own purpose has been achieved. Before defecting, he insisted on fighting with the patriarch Fuyu, because he was full and had nothing to do. Because, such a fierce battle. First, it can attract the attention of most Konoha ninjas and reduce the difficulty for other clansmen to escape. Secondly, you can show off your own strength without any fear, so that the threats who try to plot against you and others in the future can weigh in. After all, if you don't show your dreadful strength. Even if he led half of the tribe to escape from Konoha successfully. What followed was nothing but Konoha's endless pursuit. In this cruel ninja world, only strength is the standard to measure everything. It will be dreadful. So far, the effect is still very good. This outburst of his own obviously shocked many people. At this moment, the other half of the people who were willing to defect to Konoha basically escaped successfully. Next, you only need to escape from Konoha yourself. Thinking of this, Natsume bowed his knees and stared without saying a word. Jumped tens of meters away in an instant and quickly fled towards Konoha. He will not learn those stupid rebellions. Before leaving, he had to leave a few cruel words foolishly to create a wave of hatred. I am afraid that others will not be able to kill me. Wouldn't it be nice to escape a few hundred meters more with that time? Seeing the end of the war, Fugaku was defeated. On the other side, Natsume also showed signs of fatigue, chakra was powerless, and fled. The urgent Danzo finally couldn't bear it anymore. Hastily yelled at Sarutobi. Sarutobi! Hurry up! This is the last chance. Don't you want to let such a big scourge escape from the village? You have seen his strength. And he is too young. Given time, when he grows up, he may not be the second Uchiha Madara. Do you think, by then, Konoha will be able to stop his revenge? Listen to this. A little struggle flashed in Sarutobi's eyes. If it is not necessary, he is really unwilling to go to war with the Uchiha clan. But Danzo also said it well. As Hokage, he must also consider the village. It is absolutely impossible to let such a potential disaster escape from Konoha. After hesitating for a moment, Sarutobi quickly made a decision. Umbu listens to the order. S-level priority task, stop Uchiha Natsume who defected, and try to catch him alive. Permission to kill if necessary. Yes. Following Sarutobi's order. A group of Umbu ninjas took orders one after another, and quickly chased and killed Natsume. Even the patriarchs of those big families looked at each other and acquiesced to this decision. After all, from the standpoint of Konoha and their family, no one wants to see another Uchiha Madara born in the Uchiha clan. At the same time, Danzang, after obtaining the legal permission to kill. He even smiled slightly, raised the corners of his mouth, and quickly led several root ninjas. Disappeared in the night. As far as he is concerned, he is naturally determined to get such a precious pair of Kaleidoscopic Sharingan. Episode 4. Pursuit, Ambush. Shadow Clone Technique. After rushing out of the encirclement, Natsume immediately used the Shadow Clone Technique, separated into 5 figures, and fled in several directions. Don't underestimate this B-level Shadow Clone Technique. As a ninjutsu created by the second generation of Konoha Hokage Tamona against the Uchiha family, it is different from many other avatars. Can use chakra to create a physical clone. It is so realistic that even Sharingan can't see through it. It is really effective for escaping at this moment. Very easily, he led away most of the pursuers behind Natsume. Click DD. Click DD twice. Relying on the exclusive ability of the left eye of the Kaleidoscope Sharingan, Natsume easily dealt with the 2 Umbu chasing ninjas. Battle between ninjas in fighting, the most important thing is surprise and the amount of intelligence. And the special ability of his Kaleidoscope Sharingan is one of Natsume's most important cards. Therefore, once shot, one hit kills. Natsume will never let anyone who has seen the exclusive ability of his eyes live and expose his ability. Not to mention being like a fool. Show off the ability of both eyes at every turn, and in the end no one can be killed. This is why, in the previous war, he only displayed Susanoo, but did not use the exclusive ability of his eyes. At that time, there were too many people and Natsume couldn't kill everyone. Moreover, from the perspective of visual senses alone, Susanoo is much more shocking. After finishing off the 2 pursuers, Natsume continued to run. Because of the residents of the Uchiha clan, it was originally close to the edge of the village. But for a moment, Natsume tore through the trap, rushed out of the village, and fled into a dense forest. At the same time, the burning pain in both eyes forced Natsume to release Susanoo. Coupled with the almost exhausted chakra and the exhausted body, there is no doubt that Natsume is at the end of his battle at this moment. However, since he dared to defect openly, how could he be unprepared? Soon, Natsume rushed into a big tree that had been chosen long ago, and covered his figure with the dense leaves. And take a deep breath and sit cross-legged, ready to recover your chakra. Flipping his right hand, 3 pills with a glowing halo appeared in Natsume's hands. These are all gifts obtained through the Super Krypton Gold Lottery. After eating, it can quickly recover chakra and repair body injuries. It is quite similar to the elixir of the Daetongmu family. It is also where Natsume dares to explode with all his strength and is the strength of Fuyue to be tough. Soon, 3 pills will be eaten. But more than 10 seconds. The chakra in Natsume's body recovered by more than half, which can be called amazing speed. And it has no side effects, far better than the tasteless and unpalatable Bing Liang pill. After recovering a lot of physical and mental strength, Natsume did not leave quickly. Instead, another shadow clone was released and continued to escape along this road. As for his body, he continued to lurk in this dense forest. Wait for the moment. According to his guess, that old bastard in Danzo will definitely covet his pair of Kaleidoscope Sharingan. So he relentlessly pursued and killed himself. At that time, it will be the best opportunity to get rid of this root of all evil. Thanks to him, I and the entire Uchiha clan have lived in Konoha for the past 10 years. It can be said to be in dire straits and suffering. So, given the chance, I must give it a try and try to hack this bastard to death. Time passed by every minute and every second. But a minute. Natsume witnessed with his own eyes that 3 groups of Umbu ninjas rushed over from here and chased after his shadow clone. Finally, more than 10 seconds later, 2 ninjas dressed as roots chased after him from a distance. One of them was holding a ninja dog with a very sensitive sense of smell. It seems to be relying on the ability of ninja dog to pursue Natsume with precision. Soon, the 2 stopped under the big tree, as if they had discovered something. Next moment. Whoa, dee. Several crackling sounds sounded. The 3 kunai shot into the dense leaves of the tree where Natsume was hiding, forcing Natsume to jump out of it, revealing his figure. Natsume fell to the ground in worry. Panting slightly, his face was pale, and he looked exhausted and quickly pulled out kunai, staring at the 2 root ninjas with solemn expressions. He vividly deduces the appearance of the oil is exhausted and the lamp is dying. At this time, in the darkness behind the woods, a squinting figure leaning on a cane also came out slowly. Danzo. Natsume yelled angrily, with strong hatred in his eyes. What a cunning little devil. He actually relied on the shadow clone to divert most of the pursuers and let the main body hide here. Unfortunately, I still saw through it. Danzo let out a contemptuous look with a bit of joy. In his opinion, Natsume, the smart brat, is still far too immature. Moreover, distracting other Umbu ninjas in this way is undoubtedly more conducive to his hunting. At that time, all you need to do is snatch the kid's eyes and destroy the corpse. How did you find me? Natsume panted, frowned, and asked in surprise. That's not something you should know. Although your talent is far beyond my imagination, even higher than Itachi. You opened the kaleidoscope and the power of God at a young age. It's a pity that you are still too young. You have fought so hard with that guy Fuyue. Right now, your chakra and pupil power are exhausted, right? In this way, I will accept your sharing eyes. Danzo grinned grinningly, as if he had a winning ticket in his hands. At the same time, he quickly ordered in a cold voice without the slightest hesitation. Do it. Be careful not to ruin those sharing eyes. Next moment. 2 root ninjas shot out and quickly rushed towards Natsume. Both of these 2 are good players in the roots, and their strength is also second to none among Hunin. Of course, their strength is far from being comparable to that of a clan leader like Fuyu. It is definitely not an opponent of the power of God, Susanoo. However, it was more than enough to capture or kill a 10-year-old boy who had run out of chakra. Unfortunately, this time, both of them picked the wrong opponent. Just when the 2 were about to kill Natsume. Illusion? Art of darkness. In an instant, this high-level illusion suddenly activated. Directly centering on Natsume, it completely enveloped the surrounding area within 10 meters. And forcibly deprived the vision of these 2 root ninjas. Immediately afterwards. Kaleidoscopic Sharingan? Left eye? Setsuna. Second order quadruple speed gain. D on. In the dark. Natsume, who activated the exclusive ability of the left eye of the kaleidoscope, instantly quadrupled his speed. It's almost comparable to a high-level teleportation technique. Holding kunai directly, the light flashed. It skipped a distance of more than 10 meters. At the same time, the two root jonin who were being robbed of their vision by the darkness technique and fell into panic. I just feel a chill on my neck. Then, he fell heavily to the ground and lost his vitality. Instantly seal the throat, kill with one blow. Episode 5. Hammer Danzo. Seeing the light in a large area in front of him, they were all swallowed up by a black curtain in an instant. Danzo couldn't help being surprised. As a mature man, he naturally recognized this ninjutsu instantly. A level forbidden technique? The technique of dark walks. This is a forbidden technique invented by the second generation of Hokage, Senju Fugen, and it is specially used to restrain the Uchiha clan and other pupil families. How could he be taught by such a kid from the Uchiha clan? Humph. Stupid. Do you really think you can win with just one illusion? This kind of forbidden technique consumes a lot of chakra. It is estimated that he has drained the last bit of chakra in his body. It's just a brat after all, it's really naive. After being a little startled, Danzo laughed even more. In his opinion, Natsume is just a desperate struggle. Those Kaleidoscope Sharingan eyes are still mine after all. Only. The fight in Shady seems to end very quickly. It was only 2 or 3 seconds before and after. The large black curtain created by the darkness technique was suddenly broken. Next moment. A large piece of scarlet light broke out at dawn, and spread out with violent chakra. A huge dark red, Susanoo, suddenly appeared, but it was still in the second half body form with flesh and blood, wearing a coat and holding a weapon. Seeing this, Danzo was shocked instantly. How come? Isn't this brat running out of fuel? How can I still use Susanoo? Just when Natsume escaped. Danzo is very convinced that this kid has almost exhausted his pupil power and chakra. Can now. Look at this sturdy Susan figure, this imposing chakra fluctuation. There is no sign of chakra drying up. It's even more violent than a drugged one. Even Bingliang pills have no such effect. What the hell? However, on Natsume's side, there was no time for Danzo to be in a daze. Danzo. Didn't you say that Susanoo is nothing to be afraid of? Then let you try it. There was a whistling sound. A dark red chakra knife more than 10 meters long whizzed out, cutting horizontally from the right side, sweeping the wind and clouds, like opening the sky. Relying on the knife that Suzu used, it was too fast. Danzo was so fast that he couldn't avoid it at all, and the huge blade was already close at hand. And the powerful chakra coercion and wind pressure generated by the blade suppressed Danzo and blocked his escape route. Strive to kill with one blow. This is Natsume's real killer move to stay here and ambush Danzo. Earth Dungeon? Earth Flow Wall. Wind Escape? Vacuum Wave. At the critical moment, the deadly sense of crisis squeezed out all the potential of Danzo. It made him disregard Chakra's backlash and forcibly cast ninjutsu instantly. On his right side, 3 earth walls were cast in succession for defense. At the same time, a large wave of wind and air burst out from the mouth, trying to rely on the recoil force to break through the wind pressure of Xiaomu's knife and avoid the knife. The 3 earth walls are nearly 1 meter thick, and the defense is amazing. But in front of Natsume Susan, it was no harder than butter. Just like cutting tofu with a knife, it is easy to cut through and continue to chop towards Danzo. And Danzo, who had just jumped half a meter high with the recoil of the wind tunnel, watched helplessly as the soil tunnel's defense was broken, and the giant knife cut straight at him. His eyes widened in horror, and his soul flew away. Roar. Do not. Next moment. The blade cut through the air, and blood spattered. Both of Danzo's legs were severed and fell to the ground. And his own upper body was blown away by the air wave, smashing heavily more than 10 meters away. For a while. Severe pain under the legs. The humiliation of a sudden defeat. Plus a strong sense of absurdity. Wait until the emotions are superimposed. At this moment, this root leader, the dark leader in the deepest part of Konoha, almost collapsed. How come? My leg. This is impossible. Danzo lost the gloom of the past, and screamed with a distorted expression. He who has been side by side with Konoha for so many years, never thought of it. How could he be defeated by a 10-year-old Uchiha kid with one move? This is simply a great shame. The other side. Seeing that a single knife failed to kill Danzo. TSK. Did you escape the fatal knife? Then let's strike again. Natsume pursed her lips. Then, without any hesitation, he controlled Susan and swung his sword out again. From top to bottom, he slashed at Danzo again with precision. This knife is 3 points more powerful. It seems to split the earth. Danzo didn't even have a chance to respond, so he arrived in a hurry. Boom! A huge roar suddenly erupted. This mighty knife, a deep gully of nearly 30 meters, was split directly on the ground. Just by rolling it up and sending out a shockwave, dozens of big trees around it were blown down. The power is terrifying. Such a heavy blow, let alone a ninja of flesh and blood. Even rough-skinned and thick-skinned psychic beasts are absolutely hard to resist. Natsume didn't believe it, the bastard Danzo could still catch such a heavy blow. At this moment, the fierce battle fluctuates. Powerful chakra breath. The tall and mighty Susanoo figure. All quickly attracted the attention of many Konoha ninjas who were chasing around. Come to think of it, someone will arrive here soon. It's time to leave too. However, just when Natsume was about to leave, beside the deep knife-marked ravine, an illusory figure gradually solidified. It was the old thief Danzo. At this moment, Danzo was lying on the muddy floor in an extremely embarrassing condition, with both legs broken and a mouth full of blood. He had to prop up the ground with half of his left hand, and looked at Natsume with extreme hatred and resentment. Natsume's first cut just now was too fierce. Just a little bit, he cut Danzo in half. But, Rao is so. Danzo, whose legs were cut off, was still seriously injured, so he had to barely stop the wounds on his legs with chakra. However, according to the injury, if it is not treated in time, once the effect of Izanagi wears off, he might still die. At the same time, I watched Danzo resurrection. Natsume also shrank his pupils and frowned slightly. As a member of the Uchiha clan, how could he not understand? This bastard Danzo must have used the ultimate pupil technique of the Uchiha clan, Izanagi. Relying on this forbidden technique, reality and virtuality are distorted. Physically restore the fatal attack just received to the state recorded by Sharingan, thus avoiding his fatal knife. Damn it. Is this the ultimate pupil technique, Izanagi? Although it is at the cost of permanently losing the light of Sharingan. But this effect is indeed comparable to a miracle. I pretended to be out of strength to show the enemy weakness, just to let Danzo relax his vigilance. Then he made a bold move. One knife was faster than one knife. I don't want Danzo to have the opportunity to perform this forbidden technique. Did not expect. In an instant, let this bastard activate this forbidden technique. Why? It can only be blamed that the ancestors of the family are too good to have developed such an extreme pupil technique. It's even more strange that this old bastard Danzo is too shameless. He secretly learned such an ultimate pupil technique, and even took away the Sharingan of Shishui and the rest of the tribe. Episode 6. Inverse Psychic. Forbidden Art, Izanagi. Danzo. Your dog's life is indeed like a dung beetle, smelly and hard. Natsume stared at Danzo, with anger in his eyes, and cursed through gritted teeth. Ahem. Dung beetles? What's that? While coughing up blood, Danzo cursed and frowned in doubt. How could he not understand? Natsume, this brat, is clearly exhausted. Why can he recover quickly and burst out with such strength? If I knew that he could still activate Susanoo, I would never show up rashly. Unfortunately, it's too late to say anything now. The cunning brat did win, and it cost him dearly his legs. Fortunately, he also hides his whole cards. I snatched a Sharingan from Jishui. Also secretly obtained the forbidden technique Izanagi from the Uchiha clan, thus saving his own life. Otherwise, he might have become the same as the deep ravine beside him. It was chopped into a meat paste by a knife. Terrible. Danzo, who was lucky enough to survive, did not dare to hesitate. Struggling hastily, he tore off the gauze wrapping his right arm with his mouth. The entire right arm made of Orochimaru's wooden cell transplant and 2 fresh sharing eyes were exposed. The vivid eyeballs inlaid on the arms, just looking at them, look extremely distorted, making one's scalp tingle. I don't know how this guy Danzo can sleep at night. Sharingan. Mutant cells. Brute. Natsume cursed on purpose, pretending to be unaware. Danzo didn't care about Natsume's insults. Either disgusting or sinful. As long as you can gain strength. Make yourself stronger and more excellent to ascend to the position of Hokage, and lead Konoha to glory. What is it? What's more, if he hadn't transplanted Sharingan, if he didn't know Izanagi, he might have died just now. Little devil. Didn't expect that. Cough cough. You lose. Danzo sneered with difficulty, and raised his Sharingan right arm. I am ready to activate Izanagi again at any time, so as to prevent the opponent from attacking me while taking advantage of the forbidden technique. Obviously. As the root leader, coupled with the brutal Third Ninja World War, and the sacrifice rate of various high-risk tasks. It is not difficult for this guy to secretly seize the corpses of a few Uchiha people and obtain their Sharingan. It is estimated that it is precisely because of the preliminary transplantation of these sharing eyes. Let him taste the power and beauty of this blood succession boundary. This guy will not hesitate to attack Jishui. That's why he spared no effort to secretly promote the plan to exterminate the Uchiha. 2 Sharingan, plus Jishui's right eye. In the hands of the old guy Danzo, there are 3 Sharingan in total. In other words, he can activate it at least 3 times and last for 3 minutes Izanagi. Can I last 3 minutes by myself? Sure, if there is no Izanagi. In less than 3 seconds, he can kill Danzo again by himself. But driving Izanagi invincible for 3 minutes will be troublesome. After all, don't talk about 3 minutes now. Just delay for 1 more minute, and there will be countless Konoha ninjas around. At that time, I will become the turtle in the urn. Of course, the ambush was not without effect. At least Danzo was severely injured, his legs were crippled, and he was forced to open Izanagi, thus wasting Shirsui's precious Kaleidoscope Sharingan. It can be regarded as eliminating a big threat for himself. After all, Shirsui's Kaleidoscope Sharingan ability of B Tianshin is really terrifying. If you are not careful, you may be controlled by it. Then it would be game over. In short, it is not a loss. What's more, a living Danzo can harm and weaken Konoha more than a dead Danzo. Losing? You, a loser, have the nerve to comment on others? Don't you just want to be Hokage? It was originally incomplete, but now both legs are useless. I see what you use as Hokage. So afraid of death, why are you fighting for the position of Hokage? Natsume's taunt instantly made Danzo furious. More than 20 years ago, because of a mistake in his mind, he missed the position of Hokage, which was the most depressing knot in his heart. What's more, he was still being ridiculed by such a Uchiha kid in his early 10 years, mocking his lifelong long-cherished wish and pursuit. This really made him angry and unacceptable. You little devil, you can be rampant again. Wait a while, I will definitely skin your cramps and make your life worse than death. Danzo's face was sullen, and he cursed with extreme resentment. He has been in a high position for many years and lived in seclusion behind the scenes, and he has also exercised enough concentration. Although at the moment my heart is burning with anger. But he still didn't lose his mind, and continued to maintain the forbidden technique Izanagi, to ensure his immortality. Anyway, just wait a moment. Konoha will gather a large number of ninjas to surround this brat. At that time, the final winner will still be himself. Brush, brush, D. In a short while, many Umbu ninjas arrived one after another. And quickly protected Danzo, surrounded Natsume. However, no one dared to attack under the threat of the giant Susanoo demon god. At the same time, not far away, the 3 generations of Hokage Sarutobi also quickly led several clan chiefs to help. Danzo. Master Danzo. How come? Seeing the mess here, and Danzo who was seriously injured and dying. The people who came after them were all terrified. It is hard to imagine that Danzo, an old bastard, would lose to a 10-year-old boy who was supposed to be exhausted. And he lost so badly. At the same time, Konoha reinforcements arrived. Natsume was also convinced that Danzo could no longer be killed. I had no choice but to put away Susanoo and prepare to leave. After all, although he is strong. But for the time being, it doesn't have the ability to fight against the whole Konoha. What's more, there is that immortal Sarutobi. The reason why I didn't choose to be tough with Konoha was because of the existence of Sarutobi. Don't look at the opponent's old age and frailty, and his strength is not as good as at his peak. But the title of Professor of Ninjutsu is not in vain, and his overall strength is at least at the upper middle level of the Kage class. The most important thing is that the opponent also mastered the bug-sealing ninjutsu of Ghoulban. It can be called the extreme one-for-one move. Didn't you see that weird and hissing ant snake? Did you fall? Natsume didn't want to fight, and was directly grabbed by the god of death summoned by that old Sarutobi, and died for no reason. This is the fundamental reason why Natsume chose to lead his clan to defect to Konoha. Otherwise, it would be just myself and Fuyu. Driving 2 Susanoo Gundams is enough to kill Konoha back and forth. At this moment, Sarutobi looked at the miserable Danzo, feeling a little bit of unbearable and angry in his heart. Although Danzo has many shortcomings, he is also ambitious. But after all, it is my old comrade-in-arms, old acquaintance. And for so many years, he has made a lot of contributions to the development of Konoha, and has committed a lot of sins. Therefore, Sarutobi pampered him again and again. Cover him. Notify the medical team and call for help immediately. Danzo quickly ordered. Several ninjas quickly took Danzo and retreated. Then, Sarutobi looked at Natsume in the distance, with a little warmth and anger in his eyes. Uchiha Natsume, right? What do you want to do? Leaving Konoha? Of course, in your opinion, it's a defection. Natsume admitted heartily. Why? 3 generations, you have the nerve to ask why? Don't you acquiesce in the decision to destroy the Uchiha clan? Don't you want me to stay in the village and wait to die? Natsume sneered and asked sharply. You. Sarutobi was furious, but he didn't know how to explain. After all, as Hokage, he was also vaguely aware of Danzo's genocide threat to Itachi. And with Itachi and Obito alone, it is difficult to slaughter the entire Uchiha population of several hundred people in a short period of time. Those Umbu and Genbu ninjas hiding in the dark and waiting for an opportunity to attack are the main force. Itachi, it's just a big excuse to take the blame. Hey. Natsume, let's get caught. As long as you are willing to surrender, the village will forgive you as appropriate. After pondering for a moment, Yuan Fei had no choice but to persuade him to surrender. No better than Danzo, he is very clear. If this evil boy from Uchiha resists desperately, it will definitely bring great casualties to Konoha. Even, take dozens of precious Umbu ninja lives. The village will forgive me at its discretion? How ridiculous. 3 generations, what is a village? A place with Hokage is a village? Yuan Fei quickly denied, of course not. The village is made up of the people, and the villagers who inherit the will of the fire are the real Konoha hidden village. Then aren't our Uchiha clan considered part of the village? Of course, but... Sarutobi was at a loss for words again. Still the same reason, the Uchiha genocide plan decided by Konoha's high-level officials is really not honorable. In the name of righteousness, deprive others of their lives. This is the will of fire in your mouth? Is this the will you inherited from the 1st and 2nd generations? The current Konoha is really rotten to the root. Natsume scolded loudly. Then, he sighed quietly. Okay, stop talking nonsense. From today, I, Uchiha Natsume, will officially betray Konoha with half of the Uchiha clan. If you have the ability, come and kill me. I'm waiting for you. Natsume let out a long cry, and his sharp gaze swept over all the Konoha ninjas around. All the Umbu ninjas were so shocked that their scalps numb and they took half a step back. Then. Reverse psychic art, open. There was a bang DD. In an instant, a cloud of white mist exploded. Natsume disappeared in place. And instantly appeared at the established gathering point hundreds of miles away. Episode 7. At this moment, Konoha is hidden in the village. In the residence of the Uchiha clan. A large group of Uchiha people were standing in the ruins full of smoke and dust, with dazed expressions on their faces. From the start of the fierce battle, to the defeat of the great patriarch, and then to the defection of the Natsume clansmen. Back and forth, but also 10 minutes. Most of the buildings in their Uchiha clan's residence turned into ruins? This is too much shit, right? But soon, these clansmen discovered again. In the residence, many familiar clansmen have disappeared. Moyo estimated that it was at least half less. Where have all those tribesmen gone? Could it be that they all really defected? Many of the remaining Uchiha clansmen secretly speculated. After all, some time ago, someone in the clan did come to inquire about whether they would like to leave Konoha. The rest of these clansmen all declined for various reasons. Or just take it as a joke. But now it seems that this is no joke. They really defected. Hateful. If he had known this was true, he should have escaped too. For a while, many clansmen who were barely able to react could not help but fell into deep regret. At the same time, in a large area of scorched ruins, a not-so-high figure was jumping and running fast. Soon, Itachi passed through the ruins. Came to the place where his father Fugaku was knocked down. But he hadn't waited for him to dig through the ruins. Uchiha Fugaku, who was covered in dust but full of energy, stood up from a pile of broken wood. Itachi, you're here. Father. Are you all right? Seeing that his father was still alive, Itachi felt a little relieved. Although, tonight, he was originally going to break with his father and the entire Uchiha clan. It's okay, no problem. That kid Natsume, I still saved some strength in the end, otherwise. Fuyu patted the dust off his body and sighed slightly. But he immediately realized his talkativeness and shut his mouth. I can't let Konoha know about the fighting and acting between myself and Natsume. They were really fighting just now. You see, so many houses have been demolished. What a loss. Father, you and Natsume's cousin? Itachi, who was vaguely guessing, finally asked out the doubts in his heart. Natsume. That kid defected to Konoha with more than half of his tribe. I was trying to stop him just now, but I didn't expect it to fail. Fuyue let out a sigh of regret, but his eyes were still sharp, and there was no sign of regret at all. How could it be? Isn't he looking for death? Even if you lead half of the tribe to defect successfully, it is impossible to stop the follow-up pursuit of the village. Furthermore, if he defected like this, the rest of the tribe cannot escape the heavy responsibility. Itachi was taken aback. I really don't understand how Natsume's cousin could do such a crazy and stupid move. He should have his own considerations and countermeasures. However, for him, it is even more unworthy to stay in the village and wait to die. Everyone has the right to choose their own future. Itachi, for the sake of Konoha and Sasuke, there is nothing wrong with choosing to be an enemy of the family. It's not wrong for Natsume to choose Konoha as an enemy for herself and her clan. Although you have different ideas, you are all outstanding Uchiha heroes. What the future holds is up to you to create. Fuyue sighed with rare emotion. And slightly raised his head to look at the starry sky. He can't see clearly what the future of the Uchiha clan is like now. So, father, you already know, Itachi was taken aback, not knowing how to explain. No matter how many reasons there are. The crime of betraying his family and deciding to stain his hands with blood cannot be questioned. You don't have to blame yourself. After such a big event happened, your mission should be postponed. Go see your mother and Sasuke first. They should be fine. It is good. Hearing Sasuke, Itachi also instantly cheered up a little. He hurriedly prepared to see his own brother. Only. At this time, there was a sound of brushing. Another figure wearing the coat of the Konoha guard suddenly flashed beside the two of them. Master Patriarch, Master Itachi, I'm sorry. Uchiha Yatsushiro, with gray hair and bony face, quickly said hello. 8 generations? Why are you here? It's Master Natsume's request. Yadai. Hey. I didn't expect that you also took refuge in that kid? Fuyu was slightly startled. After all, the 45-year-old Yatsushiro has rich experience and outstanding strength, and he can be regarded as a solid pillar in the Uchiha clan. He also admires and relies heavily on himself as the right-hand man in the Konoha police force. It's just that I didn't expect it. Did even Yatsushiro take refuge with that kid Natsume? Yadai sighed slightly and said calmly. Patriarch, I just want to change the status quo of the whole family. Compared to Master Natsume, you are still too conservative after all. Fuyu coughed and waved his hands indifferently. Ahem. Okay, don't say these words. That kid is indeed unbelievably evil. His strength is also extremely frightening. It's not a bad thing for you to work for him. This time, Fuyu really felt old. It seems that the future of the family still has to be handed over to Natsume and Itachi, the younger generation, to work hard. Use your spare heat to support them. You come here, does that kid have any arrangements? Yes, Master Natsume still has something to say to Master Itachi. Yatsushiro stated his purpose. For Itachi? Fuyu was slightly puzzled. Even the Itachi on the side was taken aback. I don't understand what kind of words that Natsume's cousin, who is so strong and hides so deeply, has left for himself. The next moment, Yadai handed out a scroll. Itachi took the scroll, opened it and read it with the approval of his father Fuyue. After a while, finished reading the scroll. Itachi couldn't help but startled suddenly, his eyes lit up. The heart that should have been dead and cold suddenly became active. For nothing else, just because of the method recorded on the scroll, it is very likely that the remaining Uchiha people in Konoha escaped. No need to be exterminated. No need to fight with Konoha anymore. Is this what Natsume's cousin left behind? It's really worth a try. Itachi sighed with emotion and made a quick decision. Meanwhile, the other side. To the north of Muyin village, hundreds of miles away, is a hidden forest. A large group of Uchiha people are gathering here. Among them, old and young, strong, beautiful. There are more than 400 people in total. Obviously, they are all members of the Uchiha clan who defected from Konoha. At this moment, the crowd is also staying here under the leadership of several powerful clansmen, waiting quietly. Not for a while. The center of the crowd. On the grass, the palm-sized psychic beast panda also suddenly received instructions. Hastily stretched out 2 round claws and activated the knot seal. Next moment. Reverse psychic technique activated. Directly channeled Natsume, who was hundreds of miles away, to this place. After all, this spiritual art is a type of space-time ninjutsu. In theory, it can indeed be used for reverse summoning. And this is one of the guarantees that Natsume dared to stay in Konoha alone and make a big fuss. If not, it is not easy to escape from the tight encirclement of Konoha. I'm back. Is everyone okay? In the white mist, Natsume shouted and greeted all the clansmen. At the same time, seeing Natsume return safely, the hundreds of Uchiha people around also cheered excitedly. Master Natsume. Young Patriarch. Great, the young Patriarch is back. We finally escaped from Konoha. Countless cheers sounded, one tied over another. It was really joyful. Obviously, these Uchiha people who have been squeezed out and made things difficult by Konoha. After escaping from ascension to heaven, he finally unloaded the burden and became more relaxed. After all, the current Natsume is the backbone of all of them. It is the beacon that leads them to a brilliant future. There is nothing more exciting for them than the safe return of their new young patriarch. Same. Looking around for a week, witnessing the joy of the clansmen. Feeling the relaxed breath after leaving Konoha, Natsume also raised the corners of his mouth rarely, quite happily. Episode 8. After a little celebration, Natsume also started to get down to business. Although they have initially escaped from Konoha at this moment. But the danger is still not lifted, and it is not time to relax. Sunday, how many people escaped, and how are the casualties? Counting you, the young patriarch, a total of 419 people have escaped so far. On the way to escape, 3 clansmen died in battle and 5 others were captured. This young Uchiha Sunyo is also one of the outstanding helpers of Natsume's subjugation. He is only 17 years old this year, and has just joined the Konoha Guard. Especially Jonan's strength, but he is bold and careful in doing things, and is trustworthy. Natsume frowned slightly, extremely annoyed. Despite the battle between himself and Fuyue, most Konoha ninjas have been distracted. But for more than 400 people, it is really not easy to escape completely safely. 8 lost? Those ninjas from Konoha really spare no effort. Leaving this matter aside, I will try to rescue the captured clansmen later. Fuji, was that a success? Natsume looked at another clansman on the right and asked solemnly. Huishao Patriarch has succeeded. Inside here are the silver taels looted from the Konoha treasury. According to your instructions, young Patriarch, only half of them have been looted, totaling 78 million taels. 1 tael equals 10 yen, MOU 0.6 yuan, which is about 48 million. All the money stored in the treasury is real gold and silver, Konoha's remaining financial reserves of more than 1 billion banknotes are under the management of the Ministry of Administration. This Uchiha Fuji quickly opened the backpack on his body, revealing a large number of space scrolls inside. There are more than 10. Each one is filled with silver taels looted from the Konoha vault. It is estimated that Konoha would never think of it. Those who defected from Uchiha dare to raid the treasury. Therefore, the guards outside the vault are really vulnerable to the Uchiha ninja who is good at illusion. Seeing this, Natsume couldn't help but be overjoyed. This large amount of silver is the real treasure. In fact, taking advantage of the riots, they ransacked the Konoha treasury. This is also one of Natsume's plans. You know, I defected with more than 400 clansmen. After the village is built and settled down in the future, the food, clothing, housing and transportation of the people of the tribe need money for everything, which can be called a bottomless pit. Not to mention, building a village requires a lot of money. He led his clan to defect to Konoha in order to lead a richer and better life. Not to take a group of people to be savages. Moreover, as Konoha Rinnegan, it will be difficult for him and others to accept missions from great powers and earn rewards in a short period of time in the future. Therefore, this large sum of funds looted from the Konoha vault. It is their own startup capital. 78 million taels is really not much compared to the 5 major countries. But it is enough for myself and others. And the reason why only half of it was looted, not all of it was taken away. It's also to avoid Konoha's jumping over the wall. If they were all looted, Konoha's economic chain would be broken, and Konoha would fall into an economic crisis. It is estimated that Sarutobi et al. Guaranteed to lead the whole village to chase and kill himself and others. Good job. With this money, our family will definitely be able to create greater glory. It's all young patriarchs who are wise and powerful, planning strategies. Uchiha Tang grinned, smiling excitedly and applauding. After all, looting the Konoha treasury was something he never dreamed of before. In the past 20 years, I have never done such a cool thing. All this is thanks to the young patriarch. Okay, stop flattering. Notice, prepare for 1 minute. Then continue to set off, aiming at Tian country. I have already reserved manpower over there. I will receive and resettle the clansmen well, so that they don't have to worry. Natsume quickly issued the order without any delay. Obey. After getting ready, you go first. I will meet someone and catch up with you soon. Yes. A few minutes later, under the orderly organization, more than 400 Uchiha people here also set foot on the road again. Headed to Tian country. Fire country is next to Fire country, to the north of Fire country. At the speed of an ordinary ninja, it would only take a little over a day to rush there. But more than half of the more than 400 tribesmen are old and weak, women and children, not ninjas. His leg strength and physical strength are quite weak, and it would take about 3 days to get to Tianjigua. Period. You have to face it and remove the traces. Stop Konoha from chasing soldiers. Solve the problems of food and water, etc. This is not a small project. If there is a slight mistake, it will be lost forever. Of course, these issues are the next need to consider. But at this moment, there is another problem that I need to solve. Come out. Don't hide. Natsume let out a sigh. And reached out to lift the backpack in front of his feet, and stroked the many space scrolls in the bag. Ding, congratulations, you have won. Point value point. Excuse me, do you want to recharge? Value points, converted to 7,820 gold coins. Note, the recharged silver entity will not disappear. Recharge successful. Congratulations, you have obtained 7,820 gold coins. Current balance, 7,828 gold coins. Look at the system prompt in your mind. As well as the huge amount of wealth that came into the account suddenly, Natsume was also happy in his heart. You know, I have saved New Year's money in Konoha for 10 years. Since the age of 7, he has worked countless odd jobs. He even used the knowledge from his previous life to make money secretly. This is enough to save 10 million taels, recharge 1,000 gold coins, and exchange for the Kaleidoscopic Sharingan. Now, just for a moment. I got nearly 8,000 gold coins, which is really a sudden wealth. Next, those expensive exchange capabilities in the system are no longer out of reach. What Flying Thunder God, Immortal Mode, Beiman Duinjia, Reincarnation I, Heavy Particle Mode. I want them all. Sure enough, part-time work or something. How can there be robbery to get money quickly? In this way, the sudden wealth of nearly 8,000 gold coins also brought enough confidence to Natsume. He is much calmer about the powerful enemy who is about to appear. Of course, compared to Konoha's strategic reserve. Konoha, Administrative Department, should have more banknotes stored there, at least billions of dollars in reserves. But those banknotes could not be exchanged for gold coins, and the Hokage building, Administrative Department, was more heavily guarded. Natsume didn't let anyone raid there. With Natsume's call sounded. After a while. Not far behind, a vague figure gradually solidified. There is no doubt that the other party is Obito, who has been pursuing all the way to this point. Possessing Shinwei, he travels at a high-speed extraordinary ninja. As long as you look for the direction, it is not difficult to catch up with these Uchiha people who defected. I didn't expect you to notice me. Obito jumped off the branch and faced Natsume head-on, with a bit of consternation and fear in his eyes. Sure enough, I guessed right, the Uchiha clan can always burst out some geniuses from time to time. The previous water stop. Itachi now. And this Natsume in front of me. They are all geniuses comparable to monsters. When I was this guy's age, I was just a crane tail. And this brat can activate the third power, Susanoo. He even led a family to successfully defect, playing with Nuota's Konoha in his hands. It's really scary. Such a monster, you can't stay. Otherwise, it might interfere with my Eye of the Moon plan. Obito secretly decided in his heart. As far as he is concerned, all threats that may prevent him from building a new world for Lin must be eliminated. Sharingan? Are you also a member of Uchiha's tribe? Or, the eyes that came from looting? Natsume asked knowingly. He didn't rashly expose Obito's identity and his plan. In that case, Brother Tozi will most likely be forced to fight himself to the death. Although I am very strong, it is not easy to kill an incomparably slippery, Shinwei, ninja like Brother Tozi. Not to mention, it is still very difficult to destroy the entire Shao head-on. Especially Nagato, he doesn't have an invincible mouth. Therefore, it is not appropriate to settle the feud with Shao. The best way is to beat up Obito violently, let him retreat in the face of difficulties, and buy himself more time to develop. After I have enough Krypton Gold, I can naturally push it flat. You don't need to know. Soon, you'll be dead. Don't worry, those clansmen who ran away. I will catch up later and deal with them together. Obito announced coldly. Except for Lin, he didn't have much affection for the entire Uchiha clan. What's more, we are still living in such a world full of wars and distortions. As for this Natsume, even though she is a monster, even though she is a genius. But after going through a fierce battle with Fuyue, it must have cost a lot. It is the best chance to kill him by yourself. He came here tonight to collect Sharingan for the extermination Uchiha. Obito at this moment will not show any mercy. Come on, I hope you are more resistant to beating than that old dog Danzo. Natsume didn't talk nonsense either. With a sneer, he made a bold move. The fierce battle broke out instantly. Except for Naruto's Suidoin. Among other ninjas, there is no more powerful form of communication than combat. Episode 9. Boom, boom, D.D. A series of explosions exploded. The skill point of the great fireball art, which is almost full, seems to be free of money in Natsume's mouth. One by one roared out. Pounce on Obito. However, without exception. These powerful fireballs easily passed through Obito's figure and bombarded the surrounding dense forest. Didn't do half damage to Obito. Have to admit. Shinwei, this Kaleidoscope Sharingan exclusive ability is indeed very tricky. Especially Obito's right eye, under the blessing of the intercolumnar cells, there is almost no side effect when using the right eye's blurring ability. It can be compared to a passive skill. So much so that it ignores all physical attacks and most ninjutsu attacks. There is only a limit of about 5 minutes or so in duration. Yes, look at the entire ninja world. The only female local tyrant who can get 600 billion detonating talismans to bomb for more than 10 minutes without a break is probably only a certain Sister Nan. At least, Natsume was convinced that he didn't have so many detonators. Even if there is. also reluctant to squander like that. Therefore, it is not easy to deal with Brother Tuzi. Of course, except for attacks that last for more than 5 minutes. Another ability can also restrain Shinwei. That is fast enough. As long as you are fast enough. It's so fast that even Sharingan can't lock onto you, just like a certain Hokage. In this way, it is natural not to be afraid of the swallowing of Shinwei. And does Natsume have the physique and speed comparable to Hokage? Of course not. If so, what kind of Susanoo Gundam is there? Just now, Natsume rushed straight up and smashed Danzo with his fist. However, the body is not enough. Chakra, ninjutsu, etc. can all come together. Using the snapshot performed by a sufficient amount of chakra. Or space-time ninjutsu like Flying Thunder God and so on. Can make the ninja gain the power of extreme speed. And Natsume himself, although he does not have the vast chakra like a tailed beast, nor has he learned the time-space ninjutsu like the Flying God Thunder. Yes, it is the same as with Soil. His kaleidoscope eyes and the exclusive ability carried by him can be regarded as a kind of space-time ninjutsu. Enough to make yourself burst into extreme speed. However, if you want to hit Obito, you still need a chance. Fire Escape? Phoenix Immortal Fire Art. Fire Escape? Blast Wind Flurry Dance. While avoiding Natsume's fireball attack, Obito skillfully released offensive ninjutsu. Sprinkled towards the other party overwhelmingly. He already possesses the Kaleidoscope Sharingan, and he is very aware of the horror of the limit of blood inheritance. And each pair of kaleidoscopic Sharingan has different abilities. Just to be cautious, he didn't want to fight that brat close to him before he found out Natsume's exclusive ability, or remote consumption is more secure. It's just, why does this brat still have so much chakra? Isn't he already running out of fuel? Obito was secretly puzzled. I don't understand why this brat still has so much chakra to squander. Could it be that this kid, like Kisame, can also absorb other people's chakra to restore himself? Shadow Clone Technique. The Art of Fireball. Natsume split into 3 clones, surrounded by him, spraying the powerful fireball technique again and again. Almost comparable to 3 anti-aircraft forts. Just relying on a mere fireball technique, he blocked all of Obito's ninjutsu attacks. And it made it difficult for him to approach with Shinwei. In this regard, Obito is not in a hurry. Anyway, Natsume's attack couldn't hurt him at all, and he didn't mind spending more time with the opponent. He even laughed out loud while blurring his figure. It's useless. It's useless. Although your powerful fireball technique is powerful, it can't hit me at all. Give up. If you are willing to surrender to me, I can save your life. Faced with Obito's temptation to surrender, Natsume remained unmoved. Joke. Take refuge in Obito? Join? Then being played around by that filial son of Heiju, living in the dream of the Eye of the Moon? Do not rely on your own to fight for your future, but entrust it in a dream that you will not wake up from? Do not be silly. From this point of view, Brother Tuzi, who is full of idealism, is also pitiful. Of course, if you are poor, you should be beaten or you should be beaten. Thinking of this, Natsume also started to act. Sihewe Masuzi USA. Surrounded by the 3 avatars, Natsume's main body formed a seal quickly, raised the corners of his mouth, and asked loudly. Do you recognize this ninjutsu? This order of seals? Is it forbidden art? Ghoul sealing? Oh. I didn't expect you to know this ninjutsu? Natsume said in surprise. Are you crazy? Obito's complexion changed drastically, and he exclaimed absurdly. Although he does not know this ninjutsu. But he has seen it with his own eyes, the power of the sealing technique of this Whirlpool clan. Back then, even the mighty Kyuubi was as weak as a pet under the teacher Namikaze Minato's Death of Ghouls. With a whiff, the soul was captured and sealed. Enough to see the horror of this forbidden technique. Therefore, Obito never thought of it. Natsume, this brat, can actually do such a forbidden technique. And even if they didn't agree with each other, they directly used such a forbidden technique that would kill them all. Is this kid crazy? Seeing this, Obito dare not gamble. After all, God knows if his Shinwei can't stop the soul-grabbing of Ghoul Seal. If you can't stop it, don't you just burp? No, he must be stopped. We must not let this brat succeed. Feeling the fatal crisis, Obito roared in his heart. Next moment. Not daring to hesitate at all, he directly blurred his body, passed by big fireballs, and rushed towards Natsume's body, wanting to interrupt this little devil's operation. Seeing Obito rushing towards him, Natsume was overjoyed. Sure enough, I was frightened by sealing the ghouls. This local brother couldn't bear it after all. And will I really seal the ghouls? Of course not. Although this ninjutsu can be exchanged in the system mall. But the price is too high. The gold coins that Natsume had saved before were all used to exchange for Kaleidoscope Sharingan. How can there be money to exchange for this tasteless extreme one-for-one forbidden technique? Although not redeemed. But anyway, in my previous life, I was also an old fan who had read the complete works of Naruto N times. The mere seal sequence of seal the ghouls has long been memorized. At this moment, make a seal and make a show. Used to scare Obito. Letting him take the initiative to attack is the fundamental purpose of Natsume. At that time, I will be able to take advantage of the gap between him materializing and attacking me, and launch a counterattack. Ninja. Don't play tactics, don't be dirty. Also worthy of being called a ninja? Watching Natsume's ceiling, a grey shadow with a cold breath gradually emerged behind him. Obito was even more frightened to speed up his offensive. Desperately charged towards Natsume and quickly threw several shurikens, piercing through the air. The sharp shuriken was blocked by a clone of Natsume. It can be seen that this kid has good physical skills, and he can easily fly his own shuriken with kunai. Taking advantage of the gap, Obito also easily penetrated the other two clones and came to Natsume's main body. Stupid brat, you lose. Obito instantly lifted the blur, and his right hand seemed to touch Natsume's body. With such a distance, he could completely suck this kid into his divine power space, thus interrupting his ghoul ceiling. Obviously he won. But, right now, Obito suddenly discovered that the corner of this kid's mouth was actually smiling. It's like laughing at yourself. What arrogance. You don't even know you're dying. Obito sneered in his heart. And instantly activated Shinwei, arousing bursts of space fluctuations, preparing to suck the little ghost in front of him into the space of Shinwei. Boom D.D. There was a crisp sound. Natsume's main body in front of Obito suddenly exploded into a cloud of white mist. Nanny. It's a shadow clone. But, if this is a shadow avatar, how can it be possible to cast a forbidden technique like Ghost Seal? For a moment, Obito was terrified and suddenly reacted. Not good, counted. Obito let out a horrified sound and hurriedly wanted to activate virtualization again. However, how could Natsume give him this chance? Kaleidoscopic Sharingan? Left eye? Setsuna. The third order 8-fold speed gain is on. Obito, the right side of the soil. Natsume's body, which was supposed to be just a shadow clone, exerted strength instantly. He directly used the exclusive ability of the left eye of the kaleidoscope to speed up his own time. Between Shui, under the influence of the power of time and space. The blood flow in Natsume's body accelerated crazily, the hemoglobin burned extremely fast, and the musculoskeletal traction doubled. It seemed that the whole person was separated from the passage of time in the real world. With a faster passing speed, the speed and power far exceeding the normal state erupted. It directly obtained a full 8x speed gain, which is currently the highest gain that Natsume can control. Next moment. Fist out. The speed of 0.02 seconds. It's so fast that Obito doesn't even have time to blur himself. Boom. DD. Natsume slammed into Obito's right cheek hard with his fist. The huge force directly shattered his mask and broke his cheekbones. Obito was like a sandbag, flying upside down tens of meters, breaking several big trees one after another, and fell to the ground. To put it bluntly, it is still a trick. Otherwise, only with a gain of 8 times, Natsume would not be able to hit Obito at all. However, the opponent took the initiative to stick to his face and lifted the blur. This gave Natsume a chance to hit the opponent. Just like when Minato hit him with a spiral pill. The battle between ninjas is full of calculations. Episode 10. Threats and compromises. After one blow, Natsume didn't stop. Taking advantage of the 8x speed gain effect of Setsuna, he rushed out again. The whole person instantly turned into a streamer, caught up with Obito, rode on the opponent, and swung down again with a punch. Anyway, in Natsume's opinion, don't beat him violently, don't beat him unforgettable. It is impossible for this Tuzi brother who has been limped by Madara and Heijua to wake up. That's it. Natsume continued to beat violently. If it weren't for his young body, only 10 years old, he hasn't grown up yet. It is estimated that a fist as big as a sandbag of an adult can hammer Obito half to death. Of course, under the blessing of Setsuna. Xiaomu's fist was still extremely fast and powerful, and it fell like a violent storm. And the fist wrapped around Natsume chakra hits every time. They will all invade Obito's body and disturb his chakra and pupil power. So that brother Tuzi couldn't mobilize the pupil power and activate the virtualization. Can't dodge Natsume's hammer. What's more, with the first punch, Obito was almost stunned. Now they take turns accepting the baptism of love. Who is Lien Tuzi himself? Where are you? Forgot all about it. How can there be any energy left to resist? In a short while, Obito's handsome face, which was considered above average, was hammered into a pig's head. It was blue and purple and swollen everywhere. It was really miserable. Of course, Natsume was very cool. Had a good vent. Not long. The severe pain and humiliation coming from the face also made Obito explode. Aiming at the gap, trying to use the side effect of the backlash of pupil power, forcefully activate the Kaleidoscope Sharingan and activate Shinwei. He was going to suck Natsume, who was riding on him, into the Kamui space. WHDD. Natsume, who noticed the space fluctuation, didn't miss it too much. He quickly retracted his fist and retreated. With the 8x speed gain of Setsuna, his speed is no less than that of the ninja who opened the first 4 doors, 8-gate Doinja. In an instant, it flashed out of the absorption range of Shinwei, making Obito suck up. After all, attracting people with divine power is slower than passive blurring. Seeing that the grasping failed, Obito had no choice but to immediately change the absorption target. He sucked himself into the Shinwei space, and quickly shifted to appear on a tree trunk tens of meters away. After escaping from Ascension. With a face full of pain, Obito was holding on to the tree trunk, panting with resentment. And every time he took a breath, his red and swollen facial muscles were involved, and there were bursts of severe pain, which made Obito grin his teeth involuntarily. Ever since he opened the kaleidoscope, he has never lost so badly. Was defeated by a 10-year-old kid, and was beaten into a pig's head by riding on him. If this spreads out, you must not lose your life. Even on the night of the Nine-Tails Rebellion, he was not so embarrassing when he lost to Teacher Minato. This brat is really hateful. Also, why did he know how to seal, Gulban? Why do you know your own, Shinwei, so well? Why can it explode several times in an instant? One question after another popped up in Obito's mind. It made him more and more unable to see through this junior in the clan. I'm getting more and more afraid of this brat. Such strength, such intelligence, such calculations. Is this really a fucking 10-year-old boy? At such a young age, my heart is so dirty. When I grow up, I will still have it? Obito stared at Natsume in the distance, and complained frantically in his heart. If he could, he really wished he could tear the other party up immediately. Seeing Obito fleeing to the distance, Natsume also understood that it was almost difficult to catch that guy again. However, he was also beaten up. Just don't care about Brother Tuzi's offense. Ever since, Natsume withdrew from Setsuna, the closed, kaleidoscopic Sharingan. After all, just forcibly turning on the third order installation, my pupil power is also consumed hugely, so it is not appropriate to let's fight again. Is it enough? Do you want to continue? Think you can kill me? Natsume glanced at Obito, and slightly mocked. Little devil, hold back Dei. Don't be too complacent. Obito gritted his teeth, his face was swollen, and he roared angrily with inarticulate words. It looks rather funny. It looks like, with your clothes, you should have joined Shao, right? I know, Shao still has a lot of good players. You can find people to beat me up, and let them see how you were beaten by me. Of course, you can also attack those Uchiha people I led to escape while I'm not around. To be honest, with your ability, it is very difficult for me to protect the clansmen all the time. However, if you dare to attack them, I'll tell Konoha your identity. Tell Kakashi. You can try. Xiaomu frowned and said with a solemn expression. Compared with strength, my understanding of the entire Naruto world is an invaluable treasure. At times like this, it is natural to make good use of it. Of course, Natsume didn't foolishly tell the other party directly that the Moon Eye project is all fake. The other party will not believe nonsense without evidence. What's more, Brother Tuzi is struggling with this plan as a belief. Imagine if you travel back to World War II without warning, and tell a certain head of state without evidence, fascism must fail, and Germany must perish. You see the other party believe it or not. See if the other party will reward you with a bullet. You know my identity? Obito was startled suddenly, and even the anger in his heart was frightened away a lot. After all, it stands to reason. Except for a few people. On Konoha's side, it's absolutely impossible for anyone to know her identity. They are all from the Uchiha clan, and they also turned on the kaleidoscope. Do you think I can't feel that you and Kakashi have the same Sharingan aura?